Hello, my Ashwings. Such a pleasure to see you all here today for another installment of the Common to Legend series, where I am simply going to go about doing what is Nationals testing. Commoner gold foil testing is essentially the concept here. We are aiming to get better as a player in the Commoner format to be able to go ahead and get our way into the top prizing for the Commoner gold foil event that's happening at the Nationals. The U.S. Nationals for Flesh and Blood in just about like 2 weeks. So pretty insane. But we have here Ira. I am pretty much mainly focused on playing Ira throughout the concept of it here. I do think that she's really well poised, as I've said in my previous videos. No deck changes to this here. I've not made any changes to the deck. We're just running it into another game, and we're going to go ahead and see how that game plays out. And if there is, anything that I could certainly learn from a new matchup that we go into as we play this next round. So if you wanted a breakdown of this deck that I'm currently running, go ahead and check out our last video, which I'll go ahead and put up somewhere over there. You'll be able to get back to the link, so on and so forth, for a quick rundown. But otherwise, this is the list, and we're going to go ahead and send it into Talishar and see who we get to go up against. All right, so we won the die roll here. We are going against Chane, so we are going to be going second here. Theoretically, there could be some kind of setup on Chane's end, but with Chane being significantly more aggressive focused, it's probably best that we try to keep a whole hand and really put on the pressure. But luckily in this situation, we do have that AB1 in the chest slot. We got to keep the boots and the Shuko. We know that Chane does not have access to Rosetta Thorn anymore, so no real value in being able to send the 2 Arcane. So effectively, you're just blocking out what you can here. I go ahead and I see that initially we start off with a Phantom Banshee with Go Again because of Chane's ability, just hard casted from his hand. I block 6 here. Go ahead and take 1 again just to kind of keep myself in Scar range. See what my opponent sends through here. They did not play a banished card from their hand, so this is just coming in for 1. Theoretically, I could block this with just a Shuko, but I don't want to give armor immediately this early. I'd rather give a 2 block. Just make sure we're not making that happen there. And then I get to keep a blue in hand and hope I don't draw a whole bunch of blues. Luckily, not a whole bunch of blues, but more than, I wanted to just have some more reds. So we're just going to go ahead and we're going to send the Kodachis. And then the leg tap here, our opponent's not going to block because why would they block? And then we're just going to kind of hope to continue to pressure all of this damage to our opponent while, putting that Fate Foreseen arsenal. I'm thinking about playing the Nip at the Heels here just to pump it up to another 1, but I can't actually because it comes in for a base of 4. I should have done it on a Kodachi and I chose not to. So I ended up just saying, hey, it's another blue I get to use late in the game anyway. So I just IP myself here. And then it's so insane saying IP. It's not the correct way to, we need to get a new phrasing term for this. I restrict myself by having 1 card left in hand instead of using my whole hand there. I see that a Putrid Stirrings is banished off the top by my opponent here. And it is very interesting to me now to see what this deck is going to be, because I've played Putrid Stirrings Vincent. I have played any variety of what people have tried to do with Putrid Stirrings, and it never works for me. So seeing it here in Chane, which normally is consistent of a bunch of cards that cost 0 or 1 to play, knowing that this Putrid Stirrings is here, and you've got a whole bunch of other like Runegate stuff. The issue here is that Putrid Stirrings only cares about Runegate specific cards and when you Runegate. So you can't just play a card that happens to have Runegate and have that happen. I have a Bittering Thorns in hand, so I'm thinking about bottoming this just so I don't have to see it immediately. But we Fate Foreseen here, prevent a little bit of damage, and then we're going to see what our opponent's coming into, because we got the Meet and Greet here. Very comfortable to block just because we do have that Sink Below in hand. They do hit the Snapdragon Scalers, which is fine. Not the end of the world there. I'm going to just sink. And I'm not going to sink any of my cards. And then my opponent is just probably going to send Yeah, okay, there you go. So they gave it Go Again to play Read the Runes. Pretty good call, because in case you get any Rune Gate cards off the top. You want to be able to actually play them. But we're just going to start out with the good old Bittering Thorns. Up again, our opponent hasn't really been blocking a whole lot, and so because they have not been blocking, I don't expect things like D-Reacts in the deck. Chane, again, likes to very much so set up, but I think Ira's output of damage is just far too strong. So we get to come in with a Surging Militia, which then comes in for 7 because of Ira's ability and of the Bittering Thorns. So we're threatening near lethal, but they go ahead and just take 7, go down to 1. I don't know how they win this. I think this is obviously just them testing this deck because you see they do banish a Phantom Wraith off the top, which is pretty good. It means they do get to utilize the Putrid Stirrings there, and they get to destroy their Soul Shackle, get a resource there from the Bloodtorn Bodice, and now effectively I just imagine their turn is play Putrid Stirrings and then do the chain thing, play Phantom Wraith for, I guess that would be 9 go again, if I recall. I think red Putrid Stirrings gives plus 5. So we got the Deadwood Dirge on the last Soul Shackle too, so really bumping up those Rune Chant numbers. And of course, I don't have a blue in my hand, so that kind of sucks for me. Not to mention that most of my cards, half of my cards block for 2 instead of 3. So I'm skipping all the Rune Chants because it doesn't make any sense for me to not to pay for any of that. Then they come in for 9 go again. So luckily I do have like 6 I can put up here. There's no way these Scarfer Scars come through, but I can just prevent a little bit of damage. And since they're in Kodachi lock, I almost am thinking here it's probably best to keep cards just to Kodachi instead of trying to do some kind of crazy thing with, playing a 0 for 2 Tiger into a Scar for 5. I just think the daggers are so much more efficient to being able to send stuff. But here comes 7, which is, lethal for me. So this is a pretty big turn for Chane, being able to send 16 damage in the matter of a turn. Not even, it was more than 16 because of the 6 Rune Chants. It was 22 damage in the turn. So very, very powerful turn. Obviously, you can see how quickly this game just like shifted in the life totals there. But luckily, again, we essentially have to take several cards from our opponent. So we really need to make sure that we're kind of like on top of this here. I can try to strip another card from our opponent. And in doing so, again, we're forcing them to block because the less cards they have in their hand, the better it is for me, especially if they end up soul shackling something they can't pay for in their hand. So we're just going to go ahead and we're going to pop these boots and the Shuko, and we're going to create a Tiger, and then we'll just send that Tiger in for 2. We're going to get a 3rd card from our opponent's hand, of course, unless they just end up choosing to lose the game here. But that's kind of the best part about playing against Shadow Runeblades is that if you strip cards from their hand and they don't have the ability to play actual cards from their banish zone, they just kind of die. So there it is. They got a Putrid Stirrings and banish. I'm almost certain there's no way they're actually able to play that unless they kept a blue in hand. And then at that point, it's still play a blue and then pass. Play this and pass. So we get the Rune Chant. We see the Bounding Demagon come through from the arsenal, but you want to chain first, right? So 1 Rune Chant. I'm thinking about Arcane Barrier here, but I don't think I actually care. Strictly because I'm not dealing with anything that's going to deal with more than 1 arcane damage. So they go ahead and they send in. My whole turn is just block here, right? All I need to do is just block. I don't expect anything from my opponent's hand that's going to be able to give them an edge in this match. And so because of that, effectively, I'm just sitting here waiting to be like, okay, you're going to send 3 with go again. I'm going to go ahead and block it with 3. There's no way that a Razor Reflex is coming in or anything. They have no float. And then they'll probably end up sending the Galaxy Black. But yeah, so it was a red Shrill Skull form. They have nothing to put in there. They died of Blood Debt, and I win. So that is effectively the entire thing behind this deck itself. Is you kind of really just want to take advantage of the aggression your opponent's going to put on. In Commoner, while aggro decks are incredibly hard to deal with, you do have access to a lot of defense reactions. Fate Foreseen, Sink Below. You can play things like Springboard Somersault. You can play things like Unmovable. And then there are also other things like Oasis Respites. There are Arcane Polarities. I do almost feel like into that matchup, Arcane Polarity probably would have just like auto won me the game if I happened to have it, because they were playing more of a gate or more of a rune chant focused build. But Chane always likes to try and feed stuff through either with Seeds of Agony or with Deadwood Dirge. So at some point, Arcane Polarity might be the better choice here. And that may be something that I just end up taking out. Maybe I take out like an AB2 situation. I just put Arcane Polarities in. That way, if I'm going against a wizard, I've got AB1 for the just the general buffoonery. And then I have Oasis Respites to block out big damage. And then I also have Arcane Polarities to heal myself after they've attempted to do all that other stuff. But obviously, we have not gone into an Arcane match yet. I know that playing Arcane heroes has been a little, more specifically Wizards, has been a little bit more rough since the Waning Moon ban, so not entirely sure if that's the play. But we took down Chane, and so that's at least feels good. Now, I don't feel so good about it because, again, that was kind of a weird Chane build. I think a lot of people are obviously doing some testing to see what works and what doesn't. But I'm sure if that build lined up even better earlier on in the game, probably would have definitely gotten a lot of value from the Putrid Stirrings. And I mean, obviously, the turn ended up being a 22 damage turn. So, if I drew no blocks in that hand or something of the sort, it definitely was a completely different game. But I'm happy that we were able to kind of get that through. We were able to block effectively and just continue to send a whole bunch of awesome damage at our opponent. And we ended up winning 2 to Blood Debt. So we love to see it. But anyway, if you enjoyed today's episode, I hope you guys go ahead and like the video and subscribe to the channel as well if you have not already. I'm hoping to put out many more of these commoner videos as we go about just kind of going through the motions and getting ourselves prepared for this commoner event. But if there's any decks that you would think you'd like to see Ira go into, whether it be some of the new decks or anything of that sort, I can certainly go ahead and see about getting some matchups together and see how she best performs against some of the newer heroes and the newer playstyles, as I'm currently only playing with the hunted version of the deck. I have not played with any of the new High Seas cards or any of that stuff in this deck. So probably won't happen if I were to guess, just because Ira didn't really get anything new. And I don't think any of the 3 heroes are going to do super well in Commoner, but that's just me. But anyway, yeah, that's it. So again, like I said, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed everything, and then just remember to have fun in the flesh and blood. That's all it's really about. And I hope to see all of you beautiful Ashwings in our next video.